So let's do the installation of your Stealthwatch. So I will just log in into my ESX site, and also I will change certain things. I will delete this one over here. Mm. All right, so let's start off and install this one. So before you go ahead and install your Stealthwatch management console, Stealthwatch flow collector, and the flow sensor, you have to make sure that you copied your what do we say, like the ISO images in your data store first of your ESX site. So if you like, you can go ahead and configure on your GNS3. But yesterday I tried my best to configure everything on the GNS3, but I did find some problem with my Netflow collector. So that's the reason I'm not installing that one into my GNS3. So you see that I have already uh, uploaded my ISO images, the flow collector, flow sensor, and the Stealthwatch management console over here. So first you need to upload those images to your ESX site, then you can go ahead and configure now. So let's go ahead and configure my SMC now. I've already been installed one of them, so I will use one and select ESXi version 6.0 and select the Linux as an operating system, and it does run on Linux Red Hat Enterprise Linux 6 64-bit. Select this. So these are the requirements you have to select. So most of the Cisco products like ICE and Stealthwatch Management Console and all those things, most of them run on Red Hat Enterprise Linux. And I'm going to select my data store, whatever it might be. Click on next. Now, pretty important here, you have to select at least 4 virtual CPUs, at least 8 GB of RAM, and 300 gigabytes of data storage. These are very important requirements. If you fail to provide these requirements, there is a possibility that the Stealthwatch management console installation will be not completed. Next, I'm going to attach to the network. Next, I'm selecting the data store, that is ISO image, which I already have. This is the Stealthwatch management console. Click on select and click on next and click on finish. So now my virtual machine is being created. So click on this one, click on edit. Now this is a problem with the ESXi. Once you have defined your data store ISO, it will automatically disconnect. So once again, you have to go into the edit settings and you have to connect on power on. Click on save, and now I will click on power on. Open the new tab, and you will see that automatically the installation should proceed now. I did nothing, it's automatically started. Now, always keep in mind, first go ahead and install Stealthwatch management console completely. After your Stealthwatch management console is been installed and up and running completely, then you go ahead and install Netflow collector. After your Netflow collector is been installed and running completely, then you go ahead and install your flow sensor followed by your UDP director. So if you are going to do the installation parallelly, like flow console, management console you're installing as well as the flow collector, do not configure your flow collector until your SMC is up and running. Okay, so be careful with that one. Next, I will go ahead and configure my Netflow collector. I will say that NFC1, and I will select the same configuration now. 6, click on next, select the data store, click on next. And again, over also here, very important, 8192 and 300. Data store, I will select the image flow collector, click on OK, click on next and finish. Now, if you see that I'm going to install parallelly because I know the sequence, so that's the reason I'm going ahead and installing things parallelly so that we can finish up our configuration quickly. But again, I will follow the same thing. First, I will fully configure my Stealthwatch management console. Then I will go ahead and configure my Netflow collector. After configuring these two only, I will go ahead and configure my flow sensor. And one more thing is left, that is my Netflow sensor. I think flow sensor I did not do anything, so I will just utilize the one which is been installed. And I will just make sure that it is being connected to flow sensor, data storage ISO. And you see that the requirement for flow sensors are a little bit less. You see that 2 CPUs, 4 GB of RAM, because I'm going to use only one Netflow collector, so that's why I'm using 4 GB. If you're going to use two Netflow collectors, you have to provide 8 GB, and according to the requirements which Cisco has provided. And hard disk, you can go ahead with 100, but I am providing 200 so that we do not run into problems. Because I did run into problems when your data store usage is like very high. I did provide like for Stealthwatch Management Console and NetFlow Collector, I have allocated 300 gigabytes. After the installation, you will see that it has already used up the 300 gigabytes of data. Okay, so I click on save and I will hover on this one and open the console in new tab. Select the default mode. Now it will take time to install this one, so let the installation process go ahead. And once the installation is being complete, we will see how to configure things. All right then. So since that is been under installation, so until then we will understand we will see the configuration of my ICE now. What I have configured on the ICE and how did I configure my MAP authentication and .1x authentication on my ICE. So now with the MAP authentication, what I'm going to, so you see that this is a MAP PC, this is a .1x PC, and my switch is being configured to do the MAP authentication and .1x authentication with the integration of my ICE. I've already integrated to my ICE. So I will go back to my switch and I will show you the configuration now. All right, so you can see that first I have enabled the AAA new model. Okay, then I have defined my AAA group. So before defining the group, I have to define the who is my radius server. Radius server is my ICE. So I think where is that one? It will be at the bottom where my radius server is being defined. You see that my radius server is ICE. I have given the IP address and I have given the authentication port and the accounting port with the key Cisco. So whenever my switch is trying to integrate with my ICE, it is going to use this key as Cisco. So once I define this server, I'm going to define a group, because whenever you are doing the authentication within the ICE, you have to call that server, you have to define that server in a group. So for the group name also, I have given the same name as ICE, because this is a server name which is different and a group name which is different, but I have created with the same name. So within this group, I have defined my server, which is 172.16.1.14. And after that, I said that AAA authentication .1x default group. So whenever you are performing AAA authentication with respect to your .1x, go ahead and perform within the group default group, that is ICE. So within this group, who is present, which server is present? Only one server, that is my ICE, that is 172.16.1.14. That's only present.
Sorry. What device is this?
What device?
Yeah.
ICE, Cisco ICE. I'm going to show you the configuration of that one too.
Oh, okay. This is Cisco ICE. Okay, no worries.
Now this one is the switch, the one which is going to be integrated. I have configured my switch to do the MAP authentication and .1x authentication with the integration with this ICE.
Okay.
So whatever happens is that whenever the MAP authentication is happening, they will forward the authentication packets to the switch, and switch will communicate with the ICE saying that these are the packets, these are the information you need. So switch ICE will send the response saying that okay, everything is all good, please implement so and so authorization. So first it will authenticate, then it will push the authorization. So I'm going to show you one by one everything, but I'm currently showing you the.
So why do we need, if I may ask, why do we need ICE?
Because I'm going to integrate my ICE with the PX grid with the Stealthwatch. Using PX grid, I'm going to integrate. So if I do not have the PX grid integration, then how I'm going to utilize these two and implement the automation in my environment. So Currently, that's why I said that just keep that your excitement to the PX grade, because that's where you will totally understand. It will make sense at the end of this class.
Okay.
Until then, what I'm trying to explain you that I did my map authentication. So there are certain packets which is being generated, right? And this packet has been sent to my switch, and switch is also sending to my router. And if you remember
Mm-hmm.
on this router, on this particular, I am capturing the traffic.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I want to show you, that I'm doing certain authentication. The packets have been captured, then it will be sent it to the Netflow collector. So these are the different types of traffic I'm going to generate.
So it looks like we are duplicating we are capturing the traffic
Now we are not
uh
duplicating, we are
twice.
trying to
Because
generate. No, no, no. We are not duplicating. We are trying to generate the traffic, different kind of traffic. So one is the radius traffic, which is using the authentication. Another one is the communication of the traffic to the internet, ISP. Another one is that I'm going to create some policies and communicate with my servers using different ports like port 80, port 8080, and port 443. So I'm going to
so
create
so
certain
here
policies.
is so what I'm saying is the old Stealthwatch architecture, when you look at it, you have your flow sensor that capture traffic
Here, my
on the
flow sensor is
switch.
here. Yes.
Okay,
But
the
this switch is
switch will send most of those traffic to the router, and we have the
now,
flow collector that
no,
will also capture that same traffic again.
no, 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 no. The flow sensor is connected on a different switch. This switch is different. You see that the name, you see that L2 switch and SW_8. These are two different switches, not the same one.
Yeah, but everything on the switch has been captured already.
Yes,
So part of that traffic will be sent to the router and we capture it again. That's what I'm saying. It's not your configuration, it's the whole Stealthwatch architecture.
okay, so you're saying that I'm capturing the traffic and dumping over here, and flow sensor is
Not
again.
you. I'm not saying you. I'm saying the way Cisco designed the Stealthwatch architecture,
Yep.
it allows multiple captures. So take for instance, you have a switch,
Yes.
okay? You capture everything on the switch
Yes.
at the switch level. You send it to the flow sensor, okay?
Yep. But
And let's say part of that traffic
yes.
has to talk to the internet.
Yes.
Let's say 20% of the traffic on the switch will leave the switch
Yes.
and go to the router.
Yes.
When that traffic gets to the router,
Yes.
we will capture it again. So that's
Yes.
what I'm saying.
Now, that's what I'm trying to tell you, that I did not configure anything on the switch with respect to my Stealthwatch.
Okay.
Because I'm not capturing anything on this switch. I'm only capturing on my router interface, because this
In
is the
your
main
router.
point of
Okay.
entry. But here I'm
Okay.
capturing the traffic on the switch, because this is a layer 2 switch. I can't do any layer 3 configuration on this one. So I'm just taking this traffic of these particular interfaces and dumping to my flow sensor, so that flow sensor can send the traffic to my Netflow collector.
Okay.
And also on this interface, I have said that whatever the traffic which is leaving this interface has to be captured, but not any traffic which is entering this interface.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
I did not
That's
configure
good.
anything on the Stealthwatch. Nothing.
Yeah. That's good.
On the switch.
I like that.
Yeah. Clear with that one now?
Yes. Very clear.
Let's move with the configuration type now. Now you see that I'm saying that whatever the authentication which switch has to do, they have to forward it to that group. In that group, there is only one server, that is my ICE. So with respect to the network authorization and accounting, everything should be sent it to this particular default group. I did point out to the default group. So basically there will be two groups. One will be the local one, another one will be the one which you have defined, the custom one. So always, if you are using the ICE, definitely you will have the custom group with the custom server defined over there. So that's why you have to make sure that whenever there is an authentication happening, you have to make your custom group as a default. So whatever the traffic comes in, it will automatically send it to ICE instead of having your local group. So these are the commands to assign that once. Now I also said that it's a dynamic author because switch is going to participate in the dynamic authorization. So basically now when I integrate my ICE with the PX grid, I'm going to trigger a policy. So my Stealthwatch will trigger a policy and it will send a message to ICE saying that I found some problem. Can you please isolate the user? So that's where your change of authorization, which is a dynamic author. So this also you need to enable it so that whenever the policy violation occurs with respect to Stealthwatch, Stealthwatch will send the information to the ICE and ICE will do the change of authorization to the switch saying that, hey man, I do have some problem and I got an information from the Stealthwatch saying that I need to isolate this particular user. Can you please change the authorization of that user? So before he was able to communicate with the ISP, now you are not allowing them to communicate with anyone else. Or before you were able, the PC was able to communicate with each and every device in your network. After the policy trigger, you just allow the PC to communicate with your ISP so that it can remediate. So they can be a different case scenarios. That's why you have to enable this one and you have to say that who is your radius server from where your the switch is going to accept the change of authorization. Pretty much important. Next, also I've also created the DHCP server on my switch so that whenever the authentication happens, I'm going to push the VLANs. According to their VLANs, they are going to get the IP address. So if you look at my topology, I do have a VLAN 4. So whenever my map PC is being authenticated, they should get an IP address from this particular subnet. Whenever the .1x PC is being authenticated, they have to get an IP address from this particular subnet. But when you do have a policy violation with respect to PX grid, then I do have a one more VLAN, that is internet VLAN. It has to trigger the policy. When the trigger policy has been triggered, ICE will send a change of authorization, and now the switch will implement that particular change of authorization VLAN, and according to that VLAN, this is the subnet, and it will get an IP address from that subnet, and it is not able to communicate with any device in your network except the ISP. So that's how the setup is. And anything else I have to show? Yep, I'm sending some attributes over here to my eyes. Just don't worry about that one for now. And now let's get to the authentication interface. My PC has been connected on this particular interface. So what is the configuration on that interface now? You see that switch port mode access. I am saying that authentication host mode multi-auth and port control auto, and I'm doing the MAB authentication. And I'm doing the interface gigabyte tooth, which is my .1x authentication PC. So these are the same commands, only command changes is that .1x. So on one port I'm doing the map and one port I'm doing the .1x. So .1x means username and password, and map means it's just a MAC address authentication. So clear with that one?
So let me ask, if I have.
All right. So after installation is being start, just give a 10 to 15 minutes time so that it will fully load that one. So this is my Stealthwatch console. Open the console. And now by default, you do have a username and password for this one. So the username for CLI is sysadmin, all lowercase letter, not capital letters. This is the username and password is LAN1coop. Now, LAN1coop was the actual parent company which has developed the Stealthwatch technology. Later on, Cisco purchased this company. As you know that Cisco likes to purchase many companies, so one of them is this one. And the GUI, the username will be admin and the password will be LAN411coop. So these are your default credentials for your CLI and for your GUI. Would be that. So let's go ahead and log in now. I'm saying that sysadmin and LAN1coop. I have logged into my SMC now. You will get an information, click on OK, and again it will ask you to do the first time setup, click on OK. And now this is where you will provide your IP addresses. So my IP address is 172.16.1.11 according to my topology. And my default gateway is 254. And my broadcasting subnet network IP address is 172.16.1.255. And I'm giving a name as say SMC 1. And the domain, I do have a domain with cisco.com. So this is my organization. So providing the IP address, the host IP address, the default gateway, the broadcast IP address, the host name, and your domain address. Click on tab, it will go to OK. Click on OK, and it will ask you for confirmation. Click on tab and go to yes, and click on OK. And it will say you that we are processing your changes. So just give 2 minutes time, and after that it will ask you to reboot your device. Click on OK and it will reboot your device. All right, so you will get this one after doing that one, and it says that 5 to 15 minutes of time. So click on OK and it will reboot your device. So that was your Stealthwatch Management Console installation. Right, so once your SMC has been rebooted, let's log in with the same credentials. Says admin LAN1. Oh. So once you get the login, once you are logged into this one, now you can go ahead and take the GUI access. Click on OK. So once you click on OK, you are saying different kinds of things over here. That is network, security, recovery, and advanced. If I go to network now, if you want to change your management network settings, you can change it over here. But be careful. Again, it will do a reboot. And interfaces, if you have multiple interfaces, which in case hardware, you can go ahead and configure your multiple interfaces. But for now, we don't have to do anything. Click on exit. Security, changing the password. That's it. If you want to change, you can go ahead and change here. But we are going to change anyhow when we log into the GUI. Click on exit. And recovery, for some reason, if you are using the virtualization SMC and your data store is being corrupted, and this is where you can refresh your image or restore to factory default. You can do that one from here. Coming to the advanced configuration, if you want to take a root CLI access, SSH access, you can configure from here, but do not do anything from here because we are going to configure everything from the GUI file. So once you see this screen, now it's time to go ahead to your management PC now. So let's open this one and go to the HTTPS 172.16.1.11, or if you have a DNS name, you can go with that DNS name. So currently it's not connecting, means just need to check. Yep, it's able to go. Let me go ahead and, so it just took time because I have used multiple SMCs before with the same IP address. So that's the reason it took time. But if I do also have the DNS name assigned for it, that is smc.cisco.com, and you see that I'm able to resolve that name. So click on advanced, click on accept risk and continue, and you are able to see this GUI path. So click on admin and again LAN 411 COPE, COPE, and click on sign in. Now it will give you a small window saying that your login was successful and there was no previous attempts or failed login attempts.
No,
So click on
come in.
So once you log in now, you will see this one now. Click on continue. So you see that first step is to change the default password. So I'm going to change the password to all the passwords, the CLI password, the GUI password, the root password to Cisco 0123. So this will be my password for all the users. So now the old password for admin was LAN 411 COOP, and the new password is Cisco with 0123. Cisco with 0123. And if I click on show password, so this is the password. So click on next. And the root will be LAN1 cook. Just keep in mind that root and sysadmin password are same. Cisco with 0123 and Cisco with 0123. So if I click on show password, all good, click on next. And again, it will ask you for the sysadmin. If you remember, this is the user which we have accessed, which we have used to log in into the CLI. So it's LAN1 cook, and now it's Cisco 0123 and Cisco 0123. Click on show password, click on next. So it will change the password. So once it changes the password, again, now you do have another chance to change your management IP address. If you have changed your IP address, you can go ahead and change it now. So click on next. And now it is asking me for the host name, which I have already provided. It is asking me for domain name, which I have already provided. And it is asking me for my organization name. For example, I will say that it's cisco. Now by default, it is going to capture these IP addresses. So if I go back to my topology, you see that I do have 172 addresses everywhere. So it does says /12, so I will change it to /16. And it is 192.168.0. I already have one more VLAN with 192.168.100, which is being covered over here. But the only thing it is not covered is that 40.1.1.0. And over here, I'm not using this 150 address. I am using 192.168.122.0 network. So this is my outside network. I'm not going to include in this one. I will include that one as a public IP address when we are configuring the host addresses. So only thing is that I have to configure my 40.1.1.0 network. So I will go to my PC and I will say that I want to configure 40.1.1.0/24 network. So include. So by default, my Stealthwatch management console will be looking into these type of addresses to capture the address. Okay, so it will send the information to the Netflow collector saying that I want information from these
I
particular
think
addresses.
I think what it's doing is allowing the private IP range by
Yes,
default.
because that's where your internal network is that. So basically it is covering up all the internal networks. The only network I do not have is the 41, which I have included. So click on next. Now it is asking you for the DNS server. So again, you have to be very careful. First, always assign the internal DNS server. Then second, the internet DNS server. Always. First should be your internal, so that if you have some custom DNS names, that will be resolved. And the second should be your public internet DNS server. So click on next.
One sec, please. What DNS server is 192 one?
That is my ISP DNS for my topology.
Your ISP.
Yeah, ISP DNS.
Okay. Okay.
Click on next. NTP server. Always include the internal NTP server, or if you have. If not, always include the ISP NTP server. So I do have the internal my web server. Sorry, domain server, domain controller, which is running the NTP server. So I'm just providing that one now. I don't need the second one because that is already been synchronized with some other server, so that should be fine. So click on next. So once your configuration is good and fine, it is asking you to restart and proceed. So click on restart and click on OK. So again, once again, it is going to reboot. So let's go ahead and look for. Sorry.
Sorry about that. Not you. Talking to my.
Now let's configure the Netflow collector. Again, the same credentials, sysadmin and LAN1 cook. Click on OK, OK, and change the IP address. So if I go back to my topology, my Netflow collector is .12. I will just change that to 172.16.1.12. My default gateway is 172.16.1.254. and the broadcasting ID will be, and I'm going to give this one as a NFC1 name, and the domain will be cisco.com.
Why is he asking for broadcast ID?
I'm not sure exactly, but that's why I'm giving. Not sure.
Okay.
Click on OK, click on yes. All right, so that's been done. So now when it is being processed, it will again do the reboot. All right, again the same
This is
process.
your flow. This is your flow collector, right?
Yes, flow collector. Again the same process. Once you configure this one, it will reboot. After reboot, you are able to access the GUI. And again, we are going to do the same thing which we have done in the Stealthwatch management console. So I will do that one as a reboot. Once it says OK, so click on OK and it will reboot. Stealthwatch management console is back now. So I will go back to that one and enter sysadmin, and this time with a new password. Cisco with 0123. This time with a new password. Cisco 0123. And that's fine. So once you enter the new password, you are able to log in. Now go back to my management PC. Still it is not able to access, so do a refresh. And just give it some times because Stealthwatch management console will take a lot of time to come up.
Yep.
So now my NFC is now rebooting. I will go ahead and do the same configuration for my flow sensor. I'll go back to my flow sensor now. Right, same thing. Sysadmin. Oh, sorry. Username is wrong, so let me fix that one. Sysadmin. LAN1 group. And if I go back to my topology, what is the IP address? My flow sensor is on 172.16.10.0 network, and 10.0 network is 254. So I will use .1 over here. Right, I will use .1. Again, the same thing. Click on OK. Click on network. Flow sensor. Click on. I think I've already configured this one. So click on yes. And click on yes. All right, you see that it has been IP address has been already configured. So I will change it to 10.1. 10.255 flow sensor -1 because I'm using one for everyone. So that's. Click on OK. Click on yes. My configurations are good and fine now. And we are processing your changes. So just wait until you see the screen as OK. So once you press the OK, it is going to reboot now. Until then, let's go back to our management PC and see whether management console is up and running. Yep, it came back. That's good. So once this is being started reboot, we will go back to our Stealthwatch management console. All right, it's taking a time, man. Okay, came up. All right, so just click OK and it will restart, and we will go back to our Stealthwatch management console. Click on accept the risk and continue. All right, so again, it is taking time, so don't worry, it will take time. Let's go to the Netflow collector now. So sysadmin, I did not change the password yet, so I will use the default password. That will be the LAN1 cook, and I should be able to log in. Okay, still it is loading. So until then, what we can do is that we can access the Netflow collector until the Stealthwatch comes up. Still it's loading. I will say that NFC, I do have the bookmark over here, just clicking on that one. And if I click on edit, you will see that this is the website. So DNS name I have already configured for that one. So, and I will also make sure that I am able to ping here. Ping. I already got this one. So click on advanced and click on accept the risk and continue. Again, you see that Stealthwatch management console is taking a lot of time. So this is pretty good. Don't worry, because
Did you click accept the risk?
it will take time because if you remember in the requirements, we have looked into the requirements. It requires 24 gigabytes of RAM or minimum of 16 gigabytes of RAM. I've only provided 8 gigabytes of RAM, so you have to be very patient.
Okay.
Netflow collector, we are able to get the GUI. Now I will go ahead and enter the password
Oh, so
LAN411.
the flow collector has GUI too.
Flow collector GUI, yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So first we have to configure each and everything via GUI now. We are going with the same scenario, same thing. So if you remember on the SMC also we got the same thing, and here also we are getting the same thing. So click on continue and you see that same thing. But the only change will be on step number 6 where we are going to connect with the Stealthwatch management console. So before I connect this one, I have to make sure that my GUI part is up and running. Then only I am able to connect. So that's why I told you
We
that
have to
first
wait.
install the SMC console, then install the flow collector, then install the flow sensor.
Are you still recording this?
Yes, I am recording this one.
Okay.
Now, Netflow collector, changing the password LAN411 put, which is the default one, changing to Cisco with 0123, with Cisco 0123 with C0 as 0. Click on next. And again, current password LAN1 put with Cisco 0123 with Cisco 0123 and click on next. And again, LAN1 coop Cisco 0123 and Cisco 0123 and click on next. Whenever you're going with the installation of this one, so be very patient. Okay, just check the configuration. IP addresses are good and fine. Click on next. Again, hostname is good, network domain is good. Click on next. DNS server, yes, I do have a DNS, which is internal DNS server located at 1.10, and my public IP address DNS server is located at 192.168.122.1. Again, NTP server, yes, I will remove everything and I will only provide one, that is 172.16.1.10 internal NTP server. Click on next and it will ask you, give you the summary. Accept that one, restart and proceed. Click on OK. Again, you see that still it is loading. So let me change that name to SMC dot. Okay, and I want to make sure that I'm able to ping to. Yeah, I'm able to ping successfully, but you see that Stealthwatch management console is taking time to come up. So, all right, so it came up. Again, log in into this one with new password this time. This time with new password. Click OK. Sign in. And click OK. And it will ask you to register that product. So just click on continue and click on register. That's it. Register your appliance. So register means it's not going to go to your account and register. It's just like self-registration. So check the IP address is good and fine. Click on save. And click on go to dashboard now. So now you will get a dashboard. So it's asking you to again log in. So again log in and click on sign in. Click on OK. So this is your Stealthwatch management console dashboard. Now pretty important thing is that you have to go to this global settings and go to central management. And you see that this is where all your devices, you're able to see that if your Netflow connector you're connecting, you're able to see here. If you have a flow sensor, you're able to see here. If you have your UDP director, you're going to see over here. And if you have your data stores, everything you can see here. It's like a central management. All the devices will be listed over here. So first thing you have to check is that whenever you install your Stealthwatch management console is to go to your global settings, go to central management and make sure that your appliance is up and running. Pretty important. Before you configure your flow collector and flow sensor, you have to make sure that this is up and running. And now if I go back to my Netflow collector, you see that it's still booting. My flow sensor is up now, so I will go ahead and configure that one. Sysadmin with LAN 1 port. Pretty much similar configuration. The only changes you will see when we have only changes comes at the step number 6. So I will click on OK, and I have already configured that one. So I will go to my management PC first. I will go to ping 172.16.10.1. I'll just make sure that I'm able to ping before I access the flow sensor. I'm not able to ping. Okay, so what might be the reason? Okay. Yep, not able to ping. So I have to go to my L2 switch and I have to look what is the show VLAN.
Zero.
You see that on this particular VLAN, I do not have my flow sensor port listed. Interface E0/1 switchboard mode access VLAN number 10 and no shut exit and save it and do show VLAN this time now. Strange. Why I'm not able to assign that? E0/1, right? Right. Hopefully. Okay. VLAN number 10 exit. All right, for some reason it is not assigning, so I will just go ahead and delete this one. Yep, delete that one and I will get a new one.
New switch.
Yeah, this is L2 switch. Increase the RAM to 500 gigabytes and 1024. And I think that should do now. L2 switch 5010. And I was connecting on that one. That's pretty good now. Okay, so I'm doing the reconfiguration of my switch. I'm creating VLAN 10, 20, and 30. Interface E0/0, switchport trunk encapsulation. .1 view, switchport mode trunk, and no shut. Interface E0/1. Access VLAN number 10, no share interface. Change E0/223. VLAN number 20 and no share interface E1/0. 30 and no share. Alright, okay, now all good. E0/1. So if I go back to my PC now, I should be able to communicate with that one now. Hopefully. Okay, if I go to my edge device and To show IP interface brief, everything is working fine. Looping 172.16.10.1. Alright, it looks like I do have some problem with my GNS3. Okay, we'll move forward, not a problem. Because I'm not able to communicate with the flow sensor, so I am not able to configure that one. So let's go to Netflow console now. Now, sysadmin, I have already changed the password, so I will use the new password to log in. I'm able to log in now. So once you are able to log in, go back to the GUI now, because we have to attach our flow collector to the Stealthwatch management console. So go back to this one, click on refresh, click on advanced, click on accept the risk and continue. Right, flow collector was pretty good and fast. That's good. All right, login. But with the wrong password. All right, you see that it says that one failed login attempt. Click on continue now. And now from one, it will go directly to my central management, that is Stealthwatch management console. So now the Netflow collector will ask you what is the IP address for your Stealthwatch management console. Provide that IP address and click on save. The Stealthwatch management console will issue an certificate for the Netflow collector. Accept that one and log in with the credentials of Stealthwatch management console. Click on next. Now, if your communication with Stealthwatch management console is successful, you will get these options. If not, you will get an error. So if you get an error, that means you have to delete your flow collector and reinstall your flow collector in virtualized environment. Now the domain, we have already said that our domain will be Sysable. Click on that one. And now you see that note the default Netflow port for flow collector is 2055 and for flow sensor is 6343. So click on 2055. I'm just using the default port number because my routers have been configured with that port number. All right, so once your configuration is good and fine, it says that go to central management. Again, going back to the Stealthwatch management console, central management. And if I do a refresh over here, and I should see the Netflow collector being added. You see that? So it is saying that Stealthwatch management console has already detected the Netflow collector, and it is now doing some synchronization configuration with the Netflow collector. And once both the devices are up and running, then you are good with doing the configuration on the Stealthwatch management console. So I will just click on go to central management and close the tab. That's fine. So now you have to wait until these two things comes as up. It should show up and up, both of them. Now one more thing you have to be careful over here, that it should show up and it should show up. But sometimes what happens is like Stealthwatch management console is up and your flow collector is being stuck into initializing process. So what you have to do is that in that case, you have to remove your appliance first. So what you have to do is that you have to remove your appliance first, remove the appliance. After removing the appliance, reset your flow collector to default factory settings and reinstall it. Okay. Sometimes it happens. For me, it happens, and that's how I have fixed the issue, and I'm giving you the solution for that one the same. But there will be a problem if your data is already been, your Stealthwatch management solution is been already implemented, and you already collected the data, analyzed the data, and if you get that issue of where the Stealthwatch management is being stuck in the Netflow collector is stuck in the initialization, when you do some kind of configuration updates, that's where it will be a lot of problem. So to resolve that one, Cisco provided different solution for it, but I'm not sure how many of them works actually. So you can refer to the Cisco guide how to resolve that problem. All right, so any questions with regarding to Stealthwatch management console installation and flow collector installation? And with the flow sensor, I do have some problem communicating with the flow sensor. So that's the reason I'm not able to communicate here. So if I try to ping now, I will check again. I'm not able to communicate. I'm exactly not sure. So what I will do, I will stop the class over here now. Netflow sensor now. Again the same thing, LAN 1 port. Sorry, it should be LAN 411 port. Click on OK. Again, you will see the same thing now. Click on continue. Everything are the same steps now from 1 to 6. Sorry, 1 to 5. Alright, so current password will be LAN 411 cook and Cisco 0123 and Cisco 0123. I think this password should be correct. Correct. Click on next. LAN 1 cook. And one more thing is the sysadmin LAN 1 cook. Right, just check the configuration. Everything is good and fine. Click on next. All good. As DNS server, I do have two of them. One is internal 1.10, another one is external. That should be 192.168, 122.1. And the NTP server, I do have only one, so I'm just going to provide that one. That is 172.16.1.10. Click on next, restart, click on OK. Now this will reboot. It will take another 2 or 3 minutes. Hopefully it should come back on 5 minutes. And now before we go proceed with anything else, I said that you have to make sure that in your centralized management, you should see all the devices are up and running. So here I can see your Stealthwatch management console, Stealthwatch Netflow collector, which are both of them are up and running. Right, so now it's now rebooting. Just give it a 5 minutes time and it will reboot. If you remember that I have said that I have already pre-configured your network devices, right? I have already pre-configured my edge router. So that's the reason now I am getting already data from my edge router. So the confirmation is that this one. You can see that my edge router is already sending the details now. Now, if you remember these, it says that it's an HTTP unclassified one, ICMP traffic. These are the different traffic, but I did not still access anything on my network. These are the data from the previous, whatever I did before I try to explain you. I have already configured certain devices. I did my testing, so it's just forwarding the data which it's got it from the last time when I do the testing. So this is not the present data. The only present data you will be getting over here is that if my PC is trying to get to the ISP to get some details like updates or something, that's what is being included in that one. But mostly it's already generated traffic in this one. All right. This admin, I will log in with a new password. If you remember, Cisco 0123 is my password. Right, you should get the console. And one more thing, I said that the requirement for the flow sensor is 4 gigabytes of RAM, but since I am using in the GNS3, I have given 8 gigabytes of RAM. Okay, 4 gigabytes of RAM is too slow in the GNS3, so that's why I have given 4 gigabytes, 8 gigabytes of RAM.
Right.
Right, so I will come back to my management console and I will see that I'm able to ping in first place. I should be. That's good. Yep, I got this console. That's all good. Now let's go ahead and do the refresh. Hopefully I should be able to connect it and accept the risk. Just give it some time until you get your GUI part. Alright, so when you get the GUI, log in with your new password. Click on login. Click on OK. Now pretty important this one now. The flow sensor will now ask you about the flow collector. So this is pretty important. Okay, now it is asking you the central Stealthwatch management console. So give the IP address for that one first. Click on save. So it will send its root certificate. Click on accept that certificate and provide the username and password for the Stealthwatch management console. Click on next. And you see that Stealthwatch domain cisco Stealthwatch flow collector. Now I do have only one Stealthwatch flow collector, so that's why it's only providing you with one option. If I have multiple, still I have to select only one. So click on next. So this is the only difference with respect to flow collector and flow sensor. So in the flow sensor, you have to say that my flow collector is so and so, and you have to select that flow collector. And one more thing, you have to be careful with that one. So click on go to central management and it will open that central management. And now you see that there are some configuration changes and there is a initialization on this one. Now, one more thing you have to be very careful here is that whenever you are seeing that config change pending over here, so wait until goes up and this one goes up. At least wait until this Stealthwatch management console is up. So do not do any configuration until this one until you see the up over here. So you have to make sure that you see up over here. Okay, so if you do not see up and you go ahead and do the configuration, there is a possibility
For the SMC,
hang up with it.
So this is the SMC, right? This
Yes.
is the web UI of the SMC.
Yeah, this one is the central management. This is where I can see all the devices which I have configured in my Stealthwatch solution.
Including SMC.
Yeah, this is including SMC. This is the SMC. This is the Netflow collector and the.
So the SMC is displaying the status of itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a central management. You have to know what are the different devices participating. So you can see that management console, flow collector, and flow sensor. So if you have multiple flow management console, you will see that SMC1 maybe or SMC2 maybe, both of them. Because you can have with the reliability redundancy on that one too. So you have a possibility to implement multiple management console, multiple flow collectors, and multiple flow sensors. So if you have multiple things, you will see all the list over here. And you just have to make sure that everything is up and running. That's it. That's your confirmation before you proceed with anything else. All right, then that was your installation now.